idea of like, we can agree to disagree unless it's rooted in my humanity, right? Like, how do you deal with like? There's no. Let me get this banner right. I think the question I've been interested in and quite frankly struggle with in these times, right? Like in the midst of some of the most egregious acts of hate and explicit acts of hate, certainly in my lifetime, at the level, right? Like there's been one-offs. Yeah, I think of like Dylan Roof, like that, where it's like there's often been that, but like ICE raids, the rounding up of stuff, like they harken back to McCarthyism, right? They're fascism in ways that in my lifetime I haven't seen. And the question I struggle with is how do you love in the face of that? I would love to hear your answer.
Well, I think from my place, for me, the question is like, who am I loving in the context of hate? And from my perspective, that's like multiple levels, multiple bubbles. So my brain is like, oh, okay, so am I loving the people who are doing hate? That feels like it's going to take a long road because I'm human. Like that's like because when I see expressions um, of characteristics or behaviors that deny other people their humanity, it's a trigger for me, and so I lose myself, and then I have to. And in the losing of myself, I become short, curt, like I don't like you, I don't want to see you, you don't matter to me. And for me, I'm learning that means that I'm just deeply hurt, right? We're not in alignment. We're not. But I think for me, the thing that I start to grapple with when I'm dealing with like love in the face of hate, I honestly, um, I'm a pragmatist. And so I can love everybody and I can find an inkling and an ounce of humanity in you, partly because of my own sort of theology that God is in everything and everybody has it. I might not be able to see it very clearly, and you might be covering it.
I was gonna say you might be dug deep and put them way down there,
right down there. And so it becomes my work to find a way, if I need to find a way. Right? I'm not just out here pretending that like I'm not giving up my nuance or my analysis in order to love somebody that's actually doing shit, like stupid shit. Like it's just not. But what it does say to me is that when I'm in my interpersonal relationships with the people um, that I can hold, that there's a reason why they are doing the things that they're doing, that they have been socialized differently than I have been. Therefore, the way that they see, interpret, and engage the world is fundamentally different. And if I can do that work to help try to understand their level of socialization, even if I don't agree with it, I am then, for me, exercising my love for their humanity. And everybody has a story. And I believe every villain actually, I think we know how to create monsters. And I think socialization does that. And it's unfortunate that usually the people who are doing some of the most heinous crimes, they're the ones that get the backstory, but the black and brown folks don't. That folks don't create space for that. But
yeah, I'm thinking about the ways. So I'm from Minneapolis, live in Atlanta right now, but I'm thinking about my folks in Minneapolis will know this. The goofball that just assassinated the speaker and went on that. Got a full backstory. They're interviewing his friends, talking about how troubled he is and all that. And I'm thinking, I remember when did nobody care about Jamar Clark? They were running down his school disciplinary record. Didn't nobody care about Mookie? They was talking about all kinds of stuff and like they just look at George Floyd was murdered just trying to have a barbecue, and they're still digging up dirt on this man, right? And that's just in my city.
Yeah.
And extrapolate that all over. And so I think there's that piece, right, of like, we have done a good job, not just individually, because I think some individuals particularly have done a very great job of hiding the God in them.
Yeah.
But systemically, we have done a very good job, despite the sort of performative I call it performative Christianity.
Yeah.
Right, where like I'm not a Christian. I grew up Catholic, and I've studied lots of religious systems of faith and all that. I have never heard of Jesus that resembles anybody that they're talking about in any denomination that I've heard of. But anyway, we've done a good job of that. And I have put I'm being careful because I'm like, actually, I don't even need to worry about it. Like, I am currently on paying consequences for using physical force to defend somebody from a hateful person, right? From a Nazi, a young child. And I don't think I did the wrong thing. And I can say I acted out of love for certain people and for a value system. But I wouldn't be totally honest about it and say, yeah, I had anger in my heart for that, right? Like, you ain't gonna catch me saying I love Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I'm like, I think of Che Guevara, right? Like, a true revolutionary is guided by deep feelings of love. But then I worry that love for a certain people that are in opposition to another group of people isn't really the love I'm talking about either, though. Right? Because it's got to be about all of that. So, like, help me make sense of that, bro.
Yeah.
Where is that? Is that just the human condition of like, yeah, man, that's when you're gonna fall short? It's like,
honestly, from my perspective, hell yeah, that's just what it is. And so, but I think what I've learned, and for me, what love means in the face of hate in a country that hates me is that, like, I get to choose to where I put my energy, where I put my focus, who I protect, who I defend, how I live my life, what I uphold, and then when I'm out in the world, to be the best version and the most deeply compassionate version of myself, while also telling people there's this much grace here, but if you step over it, we're on different territories, because I have every right to protect myself. I have every right to ensure the integrity and the dignity of my own entity. And you don't get to disregard my entity because of your value system. And so that my vessel is sacred. So you don't get to poo-poo on it just because you don't like Black people or you don't like gay people or whatever. And so I'm a pragmatist in that way. I'm not saying like, some Christian might say, Jesus said, turn the other cheek. That's not me. That's not me. That's I can.
That's why he's Jesus and I'm Durryle.
Listen, that's not me. And I honestly, because I don't think it's right for people to play in your face and then to then want so much grace and compassion. For me, that's just manipulation. And I think that's what it
Absolutely.
means to reconceptualize love. It's like you need to be able to see that sometimes people do things and then say, oh, I'm so sorry, or blah, blah, blah. It's all a form of control. And for them to try to be made to be good or feel good about the decision that they make when they've hurt you. And I'm like, you have to be accountable to that. And so I'm a pragmatist. You're not, I can tell you ain't shit and I still love you. I still don't want harm to come to you, but I'm gonna let you know that you're not. And what you're doing is not acceptable. And I'm gonna give us an opportunity to repair. That's an act of love. I'm going to give us an opportunity to discuss possibilities of creating boundaries, because I think boundaries at the end of the day are about trying to preserve relationships and not keep people out. So that's a second opportunity to engage in a loving practice. And then I think also deciding that the connection or the exchange between two or more people is not working, and therefore we're going our separate ways. Also a loving act.
So I think that's the like revolutionary reframing that we need, is this idea that like there is actually love in me holding the door open for you to be a better person in this moment, right? And I'm saying that as somebody who has needed that door held open for myself, right?
It's all.
Like we're all gonna need that, and that when somebody puts a boundary though and is like, not today, Brian. That door is open and it ain't on Thursday.
Yeah.
Not June 26, 2025.
Nah.
It's not today. that's okay, and that don't mean that I'm hating,
Right.
right? And vice versa, is that I can say it's not today.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
ain't
yeah.
finna, we're not gonna go there today. I'm not ready for it, and I'm not gonna. I don't carry no hate in my heart for you,
Yeah, yeah.
but that is actually an act of love, right? That it
Absolutely.
is to be able. I say this in the education. I think we both come up. Did you work in schools?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. I
Well,
was gonna say we
mostly,
share an education background where I'm like, uh, it is people would as an RJ practitioner, right? They would be like, "Well, what are you going to do if somebody says this? Would you kick them out? Would you suspend?" And I'm like, "What we're not going to do is use those terms without a definition, because I promise you, I don't think the same thing you
yeah, yeah.
think when you're saying that.
Yeah.
When you say suspend, you mean send them home for 3 to 5 days, and if they
Right.
don't get right, then 5 to 7, and then 7 to 10, and then kick
Yep.
them out because time excluded from community didn't automatically change them. If you're asking me, should this person who's caused harm still be in the same space, not ready to repair? No.
Right.
But the process is going to be different, because what I'm not going to do is not pour into them, not build their capacity, not give them a way to understand why they caused harm, how they caused harm, and how to fix it.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's the act of love. It might from the outside look the same. They might
Absolutely.
spend 3 days outside of the school building.
Yeah, yeah.
Those 3 days are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so there would be a lot of people on the left who would be like, well, you can't possibly advocate for exclusion. I'm like, that young person just caused mega harm and is not ready. And it would be super harmful to have them in the same class with
Yeah.
that young lady or that young boy again. Right. And no, I'm not just gonna send them home for 3 days and cross my fingers that something changed in a world that ain't interested in teaching you the skills to change that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I swear, like, for me, I think we stop learning early on in our education all the things that you talked about, like compassion, empathy, care, concern, love. Like I think, especially when you start navigating in these institutions. But what sticks out to me as you're talking is like it's the same as when I do conflict work. People would often come to me and say, "Hey, they just need to go into a room and hash it out." And I said, "Well, if they could hash it out in a room, they would have done it by now. But there
Right.
needs to be capacity building, the stuff that happens in the interim, where you sort of help people get the skills, tools, knowledge, build capacity to do something different. Otherwise, they leave 3 days, they come back the same. Like,
Listen, one of my pops, and I love my pops to death, but one of his favorite things would be like, think before you act, or go in your room and think about it. And I'm like, man, think about the same shit I thought about that made me do that. I don't know what am I supposed to now I'm pissed I can't go do it. Like, what am I supposed to think about right now?
right, like
And,
people have
and
to
we do that
help.
with kids.
Yeah, and like I think you have to help people. What I found is that, and maybe partly from my own experience and growing up, like it was because people helped me come up with alternatives that allowed me to access different paths.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you would expect me to reason my way out of my situation, as you just said, when the logic that got me there is still the same. So someone has to be able to do the redirect, do the mental sort of reconfiguring, the sewing, the nurturing, the discipline, the
Right.
guidance to
Right.
actually create a structure and a container for me to even consider an alternative possibility.
Man,
And
and you just use that word discipline in the context that I love to hear it in, because most people confuse that with punishment. The
yeah,
discipline is the punishment. Nah, the discipline is the capacity building, the
yeah,
emotional intelligence work,
yeah,
the skill building, like this is how you assert yourself without being disrespectful work.
absolutely,
This is
absolutely.
what a boundary looks like. uh, that's
And
all discipline work.
and I think without that, it's hard pressed for change. Like,
Right.
but that's how I know that's an act of love. Because when you look at the world, like you said earlier, no one's investing in you like that. Like I work with young people, I work with adults. That there is a gap of people still pouring into folks, and I think that is a disservice. I think like We believe that we get a big age and all of a sudden we somehow just have it all, that we don't need guidance, that we don't need mentorship, that we don't need continual development. And that's, for me, in my experience, that has not been true. Like, I think a mentor's got to have mentors, got to have mentors. Like that for generations. And like,
Say
because
that again.
we're learning from each other, we're growing, and I want to do something different. So I need someone who's already doing something different to even consider that. And I think for me, like that's the gift, that's the love work. It is, it's not disregarding me. It is not leaving me out there to say go do this thing without any support or guidance. So this, like, for me, that's hurtful. It
Yeah,
just,
absolutely, absolutely.